Hey everyone, welcome back to the Occult Rejects. Tonight I have a very exciting show for you all. I'm very excited for it. For one, I'm happy to have the guest on I'm having on. It's probably going to melt all our minds. And two, I got two awesome co-hosts with me tonight. I got the Element Wizard himself, Synthetic Psyop. What's up, bro? Do you want to say what's up to people?
What's
Plug
up? You can find me in the Occult Rejects and Friends Element server. It's the community behind everything NY Patriot does. NY Patriot, Occult Rejects, Spiritual Gangsters. I'm one of the admins there. Come hang out. Come talk tour. Come talk whatever you want to talk about.
everything. You can talk about anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I also have the man, the myth, the legend, Lee from Inner Guardians, once again jumping on with us. It's always a pleasure, my man, to have you on. It's always nice to hear your perspective. Would you
Yeah.
like to say what's up? Let everybody know who you are and where they can find your work as well.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the invite. I'm really looking forward to tonight's show. So salutations, everybody. My name's Lee. I'm from the platform called Inner Guardians. The best way to look at my stuff is via YouTube, Inner Guardians. If you want to contact me for whatever reason, we've got innerguardians.com or .co.uk. Just one word, Inner Guardians. That's the quickest way to contact us here.
Awesome. And I have his links in the bottom as well. And the guest, TJ from Contemporary Problems, his links are in the bottom as well. But would you like to let everybody know what's up with you and where they can find you at and your amazing memes?
Sup. Yeah, I'm not just known for my Gematria. I'm also known for my memes and many other things. But Contemporary Problems _ on Instagram and TikTok, and then links at the bottom and stuff. But I do want to emphasize that I'm more than just a Gematria guy, even though this is round 3 of Gematria.
Yes, yeah. And real quick, just to let the listeners know, and I might have asked you this myself prior. What was it that kind of even got you into messing around with gematria?
It was numerology. It was the day after. It was conspiracies and looking for something deeper, looking for deeper meanings, looking for deeper codes. And I know the day because it was literally the day after Trump won the election over Hillary. And I was crazy Charlie Kelly meme or madman with all sheets of paper learning numerology and gematria. And then there wasn't a lot on it, and it was a tool that I just kind of like had. And then I started doing numerology positively as like a numerologist. And then I got back into that because they cross over. And then when 2020 happened and I realized how coded everything was, that it just kind of took off from there. And then it's like something kind of meant to be. My full name in Gematria equals 187. So Gematria is basically Scrabble, applying numerical values to letters. And in Scrabble, if you add up all the points of all the tiles in Scrabble, it equals 187. So like through that, I find that I'm connected and meant to do this. And I'm really good at Scrabble. I challenge anyone to play me. Like I've like trained by old ladies. Like I'm really, really, really good at Scrabble. So it's kind of meant to be. And it's funny how that happened too, because it was like during the like start of the pandemic when I was getting back into the Gematria and I was playing a lot of Scrabble online and I was in the top 5% ranked in the world. So
Nice.
You could have tricked us into challenging you for Scrabble for money. Cleaned us out.
Oh man, that's funny. Instead of like bingo holes, were you going to like Scrabble holes and stuff with old women?
Scrabble tournaments, yeah, online.
And something else I did want to ask you because I'm pretty sure I've noticed you do it. You do go live quite often on Instagram as well, right?
Yeah,
so often. And if I remember correctly, isn't there kind of like a group of you guys that all kind of do this stuff together?
Yep. Yeah, we all kind of bring our own little codes. We were doing it a lot more consistently in the summer. We really crewed up, but we've been on our own a little bit more as of late. But yeah, we like go on. We have our little Gematria crew, and everyone kind of comes in with their own little codes, and we work together.
Awesome. All right, so just real quick, I do want to remind the listeners if you have not heard the other episodes that he has done, he was on the Occult Rejects prior to the intermission. He was the last episode we dropped. And I think within a few weeks, neither before or after that, he was also on my show. I highly suggest to go back and look at those. I know on the last show I had asked you to specifically cover, I think, like video dimensions and stuff. And I think this time I had asked you to maybe take a look at a few other things. Yeah, so I don't know if how you want to get going, how you want to start this off.
Yeah, I was like, the main goal was frequencies, and then I was just kind of loading up what I had, and it still all connects. I got the main frequencies covered for sure, and then there's more that we could dive into after that I might not have slides for, but know about.
Oh, and what about the 217?
Yeah, I got a ton of that stuff. I got a bunch of combinations of this magical 1, 2, and 7 code.
Interesting. All right, yeah. Do you want me to pull up your
Yeah, sure.
your thing? Awesome. Here we go. Bam. Look at that. Very nice, sir.
Yeah, I think the second slide is
Oh,
blank, but there's do you guys know Donut? He's like a big coder. He recently just did an episode called Illuminati Dolphins, and then my logo has dolphins in the eye, but I assure you I am not Illuminati or anything. Just putting the disclaimer out there.
All right, so I think this is I'm controlling the slides, bud.
Sure.
All right, yeah. So I don't know if this is the one that this
So
is the
we'll start here, and this goes with all these 172 codes and everything, because Michael Jordan's birthday is February 17th, 217. And this is one of his most iconic photos. The time reads 351. 351 is the 26 triangular number, meaning 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way to 26 equals 351. Or in our Gematria alphabet calculator, if you type in A to Z, you'll get 351. And then these are matches with it to just prove how this work is relevant and how they code everything. Because why? It's just too convenient that 351 is the time on one of Michael Jordan's most significant photos, or like known photos. So as you see, that matches with God communicates through numbers. Jesus Christ is the English alphabet, which I am working on a bunch of work in describing the whole story of Christ that is in the alphabet. For example, QRST spells Christ. Christ is in the alphabet. It's even in the calendar as July, August, September, October, November. Jason, Jason, Jason. Yeah, God coded everything in the English alphabet, apparently, and so these are just some like no coincidences. The code of Gematria. As you can see, Michael Jeffrey Jordan matches with greatest of all time. He has matches with the GOAT. I thought there was a Mandela effect with the logo, but it was proven wrong because he has pants in the logo. But I'm like, why would he have pants in the dunking logo? But then, as you see, slam dunk and Mandela effect are a match. And as you can see, the hidden Baphomet symbolism in that logo as well.
I always thought I remembered him in shorts as well.
Yeah, so maybe it was a Mandela effect. Someone showed me the picture that might have proved it wrong, but I still was like, it seems weird. Now all I can see is pants, and it does seem weird.
What do you guys remember him wearing shorts in that? I don't know. I don't know.
I remember it as
Like
shorts, and I'm in Chicago, so
like it seems weird that he has pants. Like now all I can notice is that he's wearing pants. It seems weird.
Yeah. You want me to go on to the next one?
Sure. So again, this is just more symbolism. This will lead into the 217s or whatever. But as you see, the cube there in the logo as well, which is Saturn symbolism. That's basically it for that slide. It looks like I copied and pasted. And then he's like on the right here, he's known for wearing the earrings, the rings of Saturn, originally called the ears, and its rings. So earrings are Saturn symbolism. There you go. And then just to see how coded it is in everything with Saturn, his height 6'6", Nike Air Jordan 66, shoes 66, Bulls 66, Saturn the 66 prime, or equals 317 in primes, which is a cipher using prime numbers, and that's a 66 prime. And if you look at 317, you flip it upside down, that's LIE. It's the lie upside down. I've talked about that on
I think you.
past episodes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say. I think you actually.
because lie flipped upside down equals 66. So it's like deeply coded in that. And then as you can see, he's born 217. Michael Jordan is the GOAT, 217. He was born in 63. Air Jordan, 63. He was in the 1984 draft in the first round. 217. Played for the Bulls, 217. He won 6 rings, 217.
I've even wondered if the rings are like earrings. Even still, I know I mention it a lot, but I've even wondered if the earrings came from the cochlea in your ear, because that has fucking 3 rings in it too.
Yeah, well, I don't know it deeper, but I do know that Saturn represents the rings, and it has to do with like sound and that whole kind of thing. And then it has to, I don't know, I've heard that like mushrooms are a very Saturnistic thing, and when you do mushrooms, you kind of trip out on ears and sound a lot. So maybe there's something there.
66 is also the number of the fallen angel. Goes back to the Queopath and stuff like that. And why in Star Wars they had Execute Order 66.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's a big one, and the fact that the 66 prime is that lie upside down, like that's another big code I've been working on, like the big lie and the lie upside down. That this 317 is this giant mystery as well. And then as you see how coded it is, like they can say he weighs whatever he wants, right? They can change the inches or whatever they want. So they said that he was listed at 216, which is your 6 times 6 times 6.
Oh damn! And he's from Brooklyn too.
Yeah,
I had no idea. You want me to go to the next one?
and then at the bottom you got some 271s there because he's born 217, so it's the reverse of that. But we got the GOAT, greatest of all time, the GOAT of the cube, like that last one. He won 6 NBA championships, first round, third pick, the number 23, all equal a combination of 271.
You know, people are saying, there was a few people in the chat that said they remember him having shorts as well.
And there we go. This is just more MJ proof and the connections to Saturn with like the Nike logo. He owns the Charlotte Hornets, which also has the hexagon, like the hexagon that's they say that's at the North Pole of Saturn. He was known for being passionate. Passion equals 93. These are just some good visuals to stare at all these kind of matches with Michael Jordan. And there is relevance to it. A lot of us think it's going to be his year. A big bit I have is like it's Space Jam, and like what am I going to do with all my basketball skills? So I'm training for the intergalactic basketball game, and with that we're in the year of the rabbit, and it's 2023, number 23, and year of the rabbit. It's literally the year of Space Jam, so big year for me.
Space Jam.
All this hard work and training is going to finally pay off.
Oh, this thing's bugged out. That thing upside down looks like a robot reading a book, right?
It's the robot reading the Bible, implying that the preachers and priests are merely to repeat scripture rather than looking for and expanding on deeper meaning. Like, don't look there. Just take it as for what it is. Don't look at the mysteries. And then as you can see, some biblical matches. They're known for having the 2 bulls, the 2 main stars. And then like 2-3, like 2 3s, which is 33. And then Scottie Pippen wore 33. And then their third player was Dennis Rodman. Dennis backwards is Sind. And the Rodman, like the iron rod. And so he kind of represents the lower, like the root chakra kind of thing, because he was like gambling and sex addicted and all that stuff. And then the W, the 23, it's like the wing code. He's known for his wingspan.
You know what I saw recently? It's funny you mentioned Rodman. I was watching some. I can't believe I'm going to admit this. I was watching something that was like some special on wrestling, and I think they were covering like the NWO, when the NWO was like big at one point in the WCW, and I think they were showing how like I think Dennis Rodman was supposed to be somewhere, and he was actually like out fucking off with them, and like I think their agent or whoever was like actually calling up like Hogan. He was like dude, like you got to tell this guy to come home. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. He's out partying with us. I was like, what the fuck? Rodman was hanging out with the wrestlers getting twisted.
He was actually, he wrestled on a pay-per-view as well, and it was like Hogan and Rodman against Karl Malone and DDP. It really was.
Whoa.
Ivan Dallas Page.
I will.
He was another one. He used to do that.
one thing here with Scottie Pippen and the 33, he's a Freemason. He's admittedly a Freemason. So
There you go.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Dennis Rodman, known for like his connections with Korea. He's like allowed there. And yeah, he used to literally like go and party all night and show up for practice, like go to Vegas and go straight from Vegas to practice, like all that.
Yeah.
Good life. Oh, you want to go over to the next one there, bud?
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're just gonna wrap this. So there is a little
Oh,
bit of connection. It's gonna be Greta's year. Unfortunately, and I'm gonna cover this a bit. She's known for wearing the Nike thing, which is even why I was like, even had all that Michael Jordan stuff. Was like, I'm like, okay, what's this Nike connection? Because she was wearing the Nike bag. But I think that, so basically, I don't have all the codes here to prove it, but basically, I think this is like pretty deep take. But it's like the Queen dying was this reincarnation of like dark evil spirit that they're going to use through this young person that they're going to transfer into the first female president, because there's an energy that I think that they reincarnate into each president, and that's why it's never been a female, because they're scared of how that entity might reincarnate into it. So they're trying to reincarnate the queens into that. For example, double rainbow, which appeared over Buckingham Palace, double rainbow equals 141. Reincarnation equals 141. The queen died 141 days after her birthday.
Whoa.
Just for a few on that. And I also predicted the day the queen was going to die because I had a pulse on this stuff. And it had to do with the way they manifest through March, June, September, 369. So I was like, there something's building for September.
Did you make a?
Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Lee's done a bunch of research on this, obviously. Lee, do you think this is sort of how you would say like a higher dimension coming down, projecting or inward into our dimension with these numbers, this number system?
Well, I would say that it's all about energy, and you could say that the numbers is a way of concentrating energy into a format, into a formula. Yeah. So when we talk about energies and things, it's a bit kind of wishy-washy. This is a way of basically cementing a version of a reality, or concentrating reality.
You think it's
So
just
those
our
that
perception? Sorry.
Well, for those that understand how this works, truly, then it's a way of constructing or kind of bioforming or terraforming our reality. So the more that you can, so for instance, even if you take science or scientism, it's all about measuring the quantity. So if you look at numbers, it's about measuring quantities. Yeah. So when it comes to spiritual or spiritual phenomena or energy, it's about the quality. It's very hard to kind of measure the quality. When those behind these numbers orchestrate and put these patterns together, basically what they're doing is firming up a reality, and this is what we experience.
Wow. Yeah.
The way that it was described to me many years ago was that if you imagine just a white light being beamed, so white light being beamed onto a screen. So if you say the energy is just a white light, it doesn't discriminate. It's just a white light of energy. And then if you put filters on with numbers, then it will project the numbers onto a screen. So then you've got some kind of some parameters, something visual to see. Yeah. So if you then translate the numbers into concentrated energy, then it builds a reality.
Wow.
And as an extension from that, you know that words can formulate ideas in the mind.
Sure.
Yeah. So words in themselves creates pictures and imaginations and ideas, and it's how you control people's minds at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, like I totally agree with what you're saying, Lee. Now, going by that, do you think there would be like almost a consistent code that would
Yeah.
go along? Yeah. Okay. You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but I think when we're talking about things of this of this nature, like words, numbers. You could say that that's the coding. It's the code of our reality, and those that understand it get to control and be the architects of our perceptions. But it's the way I see it. It's only in the conditioned world.
Right.
So it only affects you, or it only becomes real when you're in the conditioned world. And I would say that the work of the esoterics is to remove themselves from the conditioned world.
Yeah.
So that's where you get your freedom. You become free from all of these numbers.
Sure.
Only then.
Mm.
But this, as we know it, as the reality as we know it on a day-to-day basis, it is a construct of these words and numbers. And at the end, well, at the end of the day, what's behind these numbers is energy or the concentrations.
Right.
And those that understand how to do this, basically, they're the programmers.
Right.
Very well said. Sir.
Well
Very
said.
well
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I'm sorry, TJ. I don't know. Were we going on to the next one, or I'm sorry?
Yeah, sure. But I'm just trying to think if there's anything else with this. And like another little coincidence too, the day that she was arrested was the same day that the Golden State Warriors, the NBA team, when she's wearing the Nike connected to basketball and all that, was the day that the basketball team visited the White House. So those videos are going viral because they were all checking out Kamala. So those videos are going viral the same day that Greta was getting arrested, going viral.
Wow.
Because that's what I noticed too with that is they we got blurry. Darn.
Yeah.
Is that they set a lot of these numbers and stuff and with trending things. A perfect example is Katy Perry eye when she had the eye glitching thing.
Yeah.
It was that went viral on Katy Perry's birthday of all days. So that's already a ritual in it. So it's big energy around her. She's gone viral that day. And Katy Perry eye matches with New World Order and all these like dark codes and all this. So that's what
I think
say.
you might have
Like,
covered that
yeah.
on one of the older shows.
Yeah.
Too.
So if you shared Katy Perry's eye, you were help spell casting the New World Order. It's unfortunate these came out blurry. These are all just Greta Thunberg matches. One connection that's big is Let's Go Brandon matches with Greta Thunberg. And then as you see Lisa Simpson, and like that's just how ridiculous it is that happened and that
You know
her
what's
name's
funny?
the
I've
match.
often wondered if that "Let's Go Brandon" thing is a mantra.
Yeah, well, I think it's just part of this whole thing. Serpent Bearer matching with this. She's born on 1/3. 1/3 is like the 13th sign, like Ophiuchus, the Serpent Bearer. She had a feud against Andrew Tate, Cobra Tate. Tate was the snake. He has a snake in his logo. She bared the snake. She owned the snake. She controlled the snake. Other ones that match are Sleepy Joe Biden, Take the Red Pill, Black Cube Pyramid, Kiev, Ukraine. That's relevant. 68 and 86. Those are big. Those are big codes that match. It was through the number 86 that I was able to predict the day the Queen was going to pass. Was because the numerology that day was an 8 and it's 6 year. It's an 8 day on a 6 year. So I was like, it was a couple days before, and I was like, oh, we got an 86 day on the 8th. Someone very significant is dying that day because 86. I don't know if you're familiar with what that means, but that's like a term. It's a term used in kitchens or restaurants. If something's 86, it's no longer available for the rest of the night.
Or getting thrown out of a
Yeah,
restaurant.
getting tossed out. Yeah,
or getting thrown
86. That.
out.
I'll go over to the next one.
Yeah, it's blurry. We got more. So Greta Thunberg, Andrew Tate, when you put them together, equal 257. That's the 55th prime number. 55 is Satan's number. 55 can be a good number, but if I'm decoding Satan is 55. Say 10. 5 plus 5 is 10. It's also 5 times 11, like 5 and your magic. 5 is like this magical number, but like it's your chaos, your pentagram, all that stuff. 55 is the 10th Fibonacci number in the Fibonacci sequence. You're 10. It's also the 10th triangular number. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way to 10 equals 55. So 55 is a satanic number.
Yeah.
That
What do you
sucks.
think is up with 15? Have you ever noticed? I've noticed that a lot.
Yeah, a couple 15 is
You know what I've noticed that a lot actually though, like as numbers on like vehicles in movies that I think are showing occultism. Like even
for
the
sure.
helicopter in WandaVision, it had number 15 on it.
Yeah.
Like I remember that. It's so stupid, but I really remember that shit.
15 that's the letter O. So O, that's your portal, your circle. Very circular. We find a lot of pi codes, a lot of pi and circular codes. Like even the 720 had to do with two circles. Like those shows that I did on you all had to do with circles and everything. So O being the 15th letter is a simple way to put what they're like using by the 15th. Darn, it sucks. These are blurry.
Yeah, sorry about that, bud.
No, I think that's my bad. If I
You want me to go over to the
some of
next
these
one?
are significant. Yeah, sure. I could load up some just to see if there's something significant here. I could load that up without. Oh yeah, now we're getting to the 127s.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember this stuff.
Me bad. So this is just a few. So these are quite the coincidences. In 9/11, it was buildings 1, 2, and 7. Pearl Harbor happened on 12/7. They released the Jews from Auschwitz on 1/27. There's 3 coincidences for you using the numbers 1, 2, and 7. Michael Jordan's birthday is cabbage. And I said, Michael Jordan's connected to Saturn, 93, the number of Saturn. Apparently, it's cabbage day on his birthday as well. There we have cabbage equaling 93. So, like, but buildings 1, 2, and 7, like the fact that these 3 significant events have the 1, 2, 7, and how we realize
flight 90. There was a flight 93 involved in those. In there too.
There we go.
Every number of flight actually can go back to something to do with Crowley, unfortunately.
Right.
And it's flight 77 was one of them. Flight 11, I think, was another one.
Yeah.
But when we realized the 127, it was through this 369. I wish I had that with me, but it was like through looking at sequences and prime numbers and just finding weird patterns in prime numbers. And we kept seeing this 127, this 172. We just kept seeing that. So we just like played around with that in the 369 or whatever. We realized this number is important. And then when we brought it to some of our other Gematria friends, they were like, do you know anything about 127? Our buddy immediately was like, Pearl Harbor, 12/7, buildings 127, all this. And so it like went deeper on that. So
you know, even the reason why I had asked you is because I had seen I think his name's Dan or Dave, whatever, one of the levies from Schitt's Creek. He had made a TikTok, and he starts off the TikTok saying it's been 17 years and 2 posts. Well, no, it hasn't been 17 years and 2 posts since you've been on TikTok. TikTok hasn't been been around that long. So I thought that was weird. Why did you say 17 years and 2 posts to talk about a UFO post, a UFO article that came out on February 2nd? No, February the 17th. So he's starting off mentioning 17 and 2 and then pointing at a news article that was 217. And I was like, this is just fucking off. I just thought that was weird. I was like, because I don't understand why he's saying it's been 17 years and 2 months since I've been on. Fucking TikTok hasn't been around that long, dude.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I just
so
found the
coded.
coincidence of him
like,
saying all that together, with I don't know.
Oh yeah, everything is like that coded.
I'm
Especially
talking about the UFOs, of course.
Yeah, because they have to. It's all to create this like fabric of reality, like Lee was saying earlier. Like they have to do this as part of their manifestation to like bring it about. Everything is a code. As far as like the more I'm looking into this and decoding things like even gravity and like mathematical numbers and equations and science and stuff, just like how they say the sun's 93 million miles away. It's 93 is Saturn's number. Like it's right there in front of us, like that it's the occult, that's representing that the space in between us and the sun is Saturn. So 31 is this is the cube number, and that's what I'm decoding here. It's all the cube, Saturn cube. This has to do with temperature, which I'm going to cover a bit today too. So 32 degrees in Fahrenheit is your zero, is your freezing point. So cube, right? It's the ice cube. It's the frozen cube. It's Saturn, rules the wintertime, all that. So the first degree below that freezing point, you get your cube, and downwards you get your cube. And so that even adds to the 33 degree and the 32 degree mesas and stuff, because your 32 is your 0 point, and 33 meaning above freezing, the first degree above the freezing point. So 32 above the cube, 33 above the freezing point.
I think you went into that too in one of the last shows.
Yeah. And then with the 127, we have 7 out of the 12 months have 31 days. And that's not the exact, but there's like another heptagon you can make with the months of the year that have 31. That again is that like 7-sided cube or the 7-sided star as well, which is like 7 days of the week, 7 planets, all that. And that's why it's like the 31 is super important, because that is the cube. It's a cube number big time. And it's the reverse of 13, right? So it's this very big number. And the fact that it's a 31st prime and that 7 out of the 12 months have 31 days. Very interesting. So with this 127, like it's quite the mystery. And then with like this too, think of like the Gematria. It's like, how can I put this? The words equal the number. Or wait. This is like a little bit of a, like I sound like a stoner saying it, but it's like, look at the, oh, I don't know how to put this. It's like, look at the value of the words, or don't worry about the words. Look at what the word's value is, rather than say the 127 means this word. It's more like this word means 127, right? Don't attach the word to the number as much. It's hard to explain what I'm trying to say. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Is like, just because they
the
match
value
the
of the
same,
word.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. Yeah, the value of the word.
yeah,
Hey, then again, it could be like what Lee was saying before, the value of the energy being
exactly. And
used when saying that.
that's what it is, and it's all reducing. It's all reducing the energy to something readable or quantifiable.
Well, when it comes to the modality of remote viewing, so with remote viewing, one of the toughest things that you have to get past is not describing things. So, for instance, with these words, in terms of from a remote viewing perspective, you try to avoid describing things, but you look at the value of it, or what is it? Without describing it, you got to decipher what it means, if that makes sense. And I can understand where you're coming from, because I struggle to explain this when you say don't look at what it says, but try to sense the value of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got some before we go ahead.
Just one more thing, because we're kind of talking about the energetic value of the subject of whatever it is, and possibly, like I was insinuating before, the numbers can give a numerical value to the concentration of the energy.
Yeah.
And just one more thing, we use coordinates to describe landscape. To map something, we use coordinates. So we use numbers to navigate around a terrain. So you can actually create a type of terraforming in the physical world using numbers. That's how we map things. Well, what this is and what we're talking about is, how do you create the intangible side of things, like what we're talking about? So this is kind of like the intangible aspect of reality, as opposed to the physical terrain aspect.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Right, because we're decoding reality. You're absolutely right, Lee. You've got one here where you've got it's about halfway down the list. It says 88. That immediately sparked in my mind, because I think it was Ed Gein was born August 8th. Unity Mitford was born August 8th. August 8th, 9th, Richard Ramirez was announced to the public. August 8th, Nixon resigned, 1974. The Haunted Mansion opened up in Disneyland on August 8th. And I believe the Tate LaBianca murders kind of started August 8th, 9th. So there seems to be something about that 8-8 that definitely
Yeah,
ties into your
yeah. I
127.
have some 8/8s. It's. I'm glad you picked up on that because I have
Jack
some
the Ripper
8/8s
was
later as well.
1888.
What was that, NY?
Jack the Ripper was 1888.
Was it? Okay. Well, there's
I
something
found that
about
interesting too.
some sort of savage cleansing or uprising that seems to happen with the 8/8s.
There's 88 keys on a piano. There is 88 constellations to add to that as well. And I have some 88s as to go with frequencies and all that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we
and
do-
like 12. Oh, I was just seeing more on the 12/7 and looking at it like that. Like it's your 12 months and your 7 days of the week. Like 12 and 7 are really these flows of the universe, like, or the astrological cycles happen a lot in 12s and 7s. 12s being your cycle and 7s being like your random factor. Like how hard is it to do? Like we're all pretty good at math, but mix in that 7 and it makes math a lot more random. A lot of prime numbers end in 7 or have 7s in them as well, right? It's kind of that mysterious number that adds to that and adds to those like sine waves of that 7 and 12.
Wow. Yeah, definitely.
And
Very
then what I like to point out too is like how they use it and how they spell cast certain things, whether song names, trending songs, celebrities they use, anything like that, where it's like, okay, this matches. What are they trying to get from this?
You're absolutely right. I know that it's the fourth one down, the Hotline Bling, that
There you
Drake
go.
song. It is so catchy. I would get that song just stuck in my head.
Yeah,
in
and the
about
memes from it, it's
2016
like
or
one
15.
of the most popular memes.
Yeah, with
It,
the face
yeah,
and he's yeah, you're absolutely right. Um
fun little side story. I have friends that work in production in Toronto or whatever, and then I had other friends from Toronto that played in bands, and I was like on the road with them for a bit. And our one friend was working on set for Hotline Bling,
mm,
and he was like sending us like he was like, we just ordered more champagne, and it was just like a funny thing that I'm somehow connected to Hotline Bling and
interesting.
answered a phone call from someone on set
Wow, that is
while filming
interesting.
Hotline Bling.
Interesting little 23 synchronicity there.
Yeah. And even just looking at these like nationalism, even Mediterranean, that's our ship. That's where we get all those ship words, censorship, the docking, the birth, and all that comes from the Mediterranean Sea under Vlad the Impaler, Count Dracula. Like we live in a country. So it's like it's that deep in it, which then created the industrial complex and everything, like Tribe of Dan, which is like what to look out
I
for.
saw
It's also
that. That's interesting. Tribe of Dan.
that's the snakes, that's the don't tread on me, that's that whole thing. The New World Age, it's all a smokescreen. The Ace of Spades represents death. It's a very death card, very interesting. And then at the very bottom, Hegelian dialectic, which is like it was buildings 1, 2, and 7, right? Hegelian dialectic is 9/11.
Yeah.
Problem, action, solution.
Control mechanism.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then look how they're controlling us on the right, Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Logo, think logos. Arena, think sports, Romans. Harambe, if that was a spellcast word on the 127s. Right, it's just that in there through the global cabal, all this stuff.
Move on to the next one.
Yeah. So we're going through the codes here. So 172, right? We're just doing like the combos of it. So which I covered the 27 and the 720 on past episodes. Kansas City Chiefs, who won the old Super Bowl. And then 322, that's your skull and bones, right? That's the number of the skull and bones. Slack connects to it. Like this is just how deep this stuff is used. And then we get 888, right? The 888, the triple of that. Another song, Lose Yourself. Illuminati card game, which is like suggests all the things that also happened in 9/11 and all that. And then 31st as well, right? Because it's the 31. Got your iPhone. And if you want to connect that to the Super Bowl, both teams going into the Super Bowl, we're at a record of 16-3. The latest iPhone update that came out just before the Super Bowl was 16.3. That's just how coded all this crap is.
Wow.
And then even if you knew that and you look at that, then you see the Kansas City Chiefs. That'd be one way to pick the winner of the Super Bowl, although there was many angles to choose. 8 ball, Saturn symbolism. And then I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a little fish a lot of fish showing up.
Hmm.
Because we're the fish, the spirit. Let's see if it was on this one. No, but yeah, we're gonna notice a couple fish showing up on almost every slide. So 217 again, and we're still on it, which is 7 times 31, just like how there's 7 months with 31.
7 cubes.
Yeah, and then these are some pretty tricky words for sure. This one is a big one, and then that's because there's only one divisor of it that technically is called a semi-prime, which there are plenty of semi-primes, meaning that there's only another one combination. So that's why that 7 times 31 is relevant, because it's the only other combination to get to 217 other than 1 times 217.
Huh.
Is there any words that's
Oh. 3 days of darkness. Blow the trumpets. That I find interesting.
Hit Me Baby One More Time and Britney Jeans Spears both equal that. And like toxic masculinity, that's just another one of these keywords where it's like we get trending on these topics, we end up talking about it. Like I think that like, and I've seen it with even like in stuff I've posted and all that, where like the algorithm lets certain things through that align with Gematria. Like things that I have videos that get through on the reels or on TikTok or whatever that have millions of views and all that. If I run the Gematria on it, it's all connected.
There's probably
And
an algorithm that's pumping that. It would be my
Yeah.
opinion of that. There's someone who's making that trend, so millions of
Yeah.
people see it, and if you did the Gematria on it, would probably be pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And that has happened. Even one with Britney Spears. It was Ninja Turtles, Vanilla Ice, nothing crazy. It was like Vanilla Ice Turtle Power song or whatever it was. And I ran all the numbers on it. And it was the week Brittany Griner got released, and it all matched with Brittany Griner. And it was like an instantly like 100,000 views. On like this turtle video I posted on an animals page I have.
Were you going to jump in there, Lee?
Yeah, I was just going to say that quite a few years ago, I became good friends with, well, he called himself a digital occultist, and he would use social media, especially Facebook, and he would put not trending words, but he would take trending words from say the 70s, the 80s. And his idea was that he wanted to confuse the algorithms so that he wouldn't be objective to the control of what they're trying to the constructions they're trying to manifest. So he would do it as a form of protection. So he would flood his own social media with things that weren't trending. There were things that were completely not trending, and everybody around him was actually confused. Coincidentally, he was actually a chaos magician as well. But so if you looked at his social media, it made no sense at all if you would try to draw a correlation to what is taking place right now. And he did it intentionally. I'm guessing that he had a very good grip on all of this stuff.
Probably.
And he was trying to either undo what is being done, or he was kind of playing around to squeeze out some freedom.
I like it. Should we bring back old timey Cockney slang just to confuse the algorithm? We were actually joking about that on the Element server the other day, a couple of us.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
but not for any sort of chaos magic purpose, but I like it. The song I think you were referring to, TJ, would have been the Ninja Rap from Ninja Turtles 2.
Yep.
I'm a nerd, so.
Yeah, just get that cleared. And then even with this in a Michael Jordan connection, January 13th at the top there is 113. Michael Jordan equals 113. Connected that to Greta as well. Ophiuchus Serpent 217. How I said it's a match with Snake Bearer, and then her birthday is 13. And then another one with that too is 117. Because 117 was the day Greta and the president were connected as well.
I did have someone point
Michael
out.
Jordan's
I don't know
birthday.
if you spelt it incorrectly or if maybe it's just the way that the word came out. But Britney Jean Spears, the Britney is spelt incorrect. That's nice.
Oh,
The chat's pointed it out. So.
thank you for that. That happens. That does
I don't
happen.
know if it was like, maybe Brittany is spelled correctly would equal that. Maybe you misspelled it. I don't know.
No, but that was just sometimes that does happen. What like our consensus on that is like sometimes it still does apply. If it's like suiting with your point, then it can still apply because it's like the phonetics of it, like there and there are spelled different, but it's like their sound and everything would still be the same. Whether or not their numbers necessarily match, there's also the phonetic element to it as well.
The intent can override it, yeah?
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So 271, again, I kind of covered this before, because the Roman numerals of 271, and you plug in that into, or the Roman numerals of 720, when you plug that into the calculator, equals 58, and the 58th prime is 271. And 58 is a huge code because that's your zodiac, your calendar, your loop, your 2, your star, your banking, your exit, your XRP, your emerald. It's a very important code. So 271 fitting with that is big.
That's interesting. And a lot of the, I guess you could say, the sort of boomer age crypto crowd, and the conspiracy nut crowd, they're just pumping XRP. We're all going to be rich. Buy your XRP now. Yeah, that's a very interesting point you make.
I have another XRP coming in later too
Nice.
that will surprise y'all.
I see you got.
It's a weird thing too.
That's like a Pisces
go ahead.
with that too.
Yeah, spelt the like older way.
Red Dragon. Hammer of God. That's interesting. Yeah, let me go to the next one.
Oh yeah, so the 432. I don't have the credentials on me just because it's like the person I don't like, and he's blocked a lot of my Gematria friends. That's Robert Edward Grant. And then if I say 55, why does he have to have his middle name? Why does he have to include his middle name? Because Edward equals 55, and they all have to tell you who they work for. And with that too, his logo is like 2 5s. It's 2 diamonds, 2 5-sided things, another 55 in there. So how many coincidences do you need to see? So these people block Gematria people. And I know a couple of like these, I call them gatekeepers or whatever, and they don't like what we're digging up, and we get blocked by these people.
That's so fucking wild.
But he has a bunch of math on the 432 and how it's all connected to the pyramids, how the main 3 pyramids in Egypt, in different measurements, one in cubics, one in inches, and one in meters, all come to math that is 432. 432 is like the earth frequency, the healing frequency, all that stuff. They raised it in 1953. As you see, I have a word spelled backwards there, and I'm going to talk on that 53 a little bit, because that's also the year the queen was coronated. So this stuff goes that deep. And I even have these like ridiculous codes with Greta and Tate and all this, because he's the Tate potato, all these like matches with all this. And tater tots were invented. Tater tots were invented in 1953. Just like how deep they're coded in that. And then what Andrew Tate matches with is the V word that goes with that 53 word there, the Vatican nation.
I find it interesting that Divot equals 53. That's pretty cool.
Divock, which is right what it is backwards, right? I just don't want. I don't know if this don't.
Well, it even makes me think of like, well, it's spelled differently, but Divock box made me think.
The 19. So
yeah,
19. So that's AI, yeah.
Yeah, that's AI, and then it was all the billionaire code, like a billion is 1 plus 9 zeros. Another little hidden code in there.
Interesting.
But yeah, it is your AI big time. And then it's also S. It's the 19th letter is S, your snake. Coming in on that. And then 440, it's also 2022. 20 times 22 equals 440.
Well, we've seen a lot of 44s, I think, recently.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 44s will show up big. It's a death number too, kind of. Sure. 4 has to do with death and door. So 53. This is a crossword question. If in the 52 card playing deck, what would the 53rd card be?
The Joker.
The Joker. And to validate that, the Joker was released on a day where the numerology was 53. which I'm saying 53 is this Joker code. This decode came from like the Green Comet phenomenon thing that matched with like New World Order and all this, but the Joker has to do with Chronos, which is like why they're a match 92. The Joker is the nickname of the MVP of the NBA for the past 2 years. So they are like really putting in our face. The Joker was the biggest movie. The Joker, even like the original Joker role, was like one of the best acting roles of all time. And dude died at 33.
Think about how many memes we've seen with like the clown shit put over like,
Clowns.
politicians' faces.
Clown stuff.
Like
Joker
this.
people like on TikTok. Like I have like 50,000 followers on TikTok, and for like the Joker people are just fucking. They're just everywhere. Like it's just Joker people with Joker filters. It's a big culture right now too, and it's a big push.
Do you know about
Joe
this
Biden.
Joker
Sorry.
curse? You know the band Killing Joke?
Yes.
Jazz Coleman. You
Oh,
remember Jazz Coleman, the lead singer?
yeah.
Do you remember how he looked with his makeup?
Yes, he did.
So
It
he,
was very
so he,
Joker-esque.
yeah. I don't know if you've heard about this story. I'm kind of a little bit hesitant. I don't know if I'd want to do a show on it because of anybody that kind of goes near this subject, it doesn't end well for them. So there's this thing called the Joker curse, which comes from Jazz Coleman. Now, do you know that he's an occultist? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can kind of tell from his work. Well, apparently, because he brought forward the sort of Joker look, which was also used in the film with Brandon Lee.
The Crow.
those films, The Crow. Yeah. So apparently they took that look from Jazz Coleman, and they asked Jazz Coleman to be a consultant with regards to Joker energy from an occult perspective. And Jazz Coleman warned them. He said, "No, don't go anywhere near it because it won't end well. Because there's the Joker curse, and there's been quite a few sort of bad endings with people that are involved with film production."
Yeah, and Brandon Lee died in the production of that film.
Yeah, and who was the other guy? There's another guy who died in one of the Batman. Was it Batman?
Oh,
films?
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jazz Coleman. Now the weird thing is, I saw an interview many years ago from Jazz Coleman where he totally breaks it down. I can't find it. It's not there anymore. I don't know if anybody out there can find it. Maybe it's best left, not found. But yeah, it would make a really interesting show to go into a deep dive. But like I say, I'm quite hesitant to go anywhere near it.
Yeah, no kidding.
A couple more 53s popped in my head. So in 2019 Super Bowl, it was super like how it's that C word, right? Super Bowl 53 was in 2019 before we knew any of these words. So Super Bowl 53 is so heavily coded in this. The score even ended up 13-3, which adds us together 16. The 16th prime number is 53.
53. Wow.
133 is government code. Like government equals 133. It's big government control code is 133, and that's what it finished in Super Bowl 53. I was gonna do more work on this. I got like my own YouTube and stuff I'm gonna be launching where I can deep dive further into these kind of things because every single number here is a rabbit hole of its own.
And right there, you've got Kronos. That is obviously the Roman god Saturn. So back to the Saturn connection again.
Yeah. And then Joe Biden's numerology 92, which is also a Joker code. He fell off the bike, significant. And I can even connect that to the number 44 and Space Jam because the same day that he took office, one of the guys in Space Jam, the original one, what was his name? The big, tall, blue guy, Sean Bradley, got in a bike accident the day Joe Biden took office, and he wore number 44.
Wow. Interesting.
That's 44.
Yeah, and then it's interesting because there was a bike accident, and I'm pretty sure he's paralyzed or something bad. Like, I don't think it went well for Sean Bradley, who's also 7'6", 76, like 1776. Like this stuff goes so deep. He's literally listed at 7'6".
It's interesting point. The Space Jam website is still up as it was in like 95, 90, I think 96 when it came out. It still looks like a web page, and it's why it's still up. Well, who knows? But
I think I remember hearing that. That's awesome. I'm definitely going to deep dive on that since this is kind of one of my angles.
Right.
You know what even find interesting? Like, it's probably just like me, just thinking weird shit. Like, I don't see. I mean, maybe I could be wrong. I don't see probably Biden winning again. I could be wrong, but I would say with the last two presidents that we had, they're both jokes. You know, just in their own certain way, and that would add up to 8 years, and the eighth sphere on the tree, you would get the Loki or jokester type as well.
Like a archetype, maybe.
Yeah, like yeah, with like Mercury, you would kind of get like a trickster, sometimes a trickster archetype to go with that, and that would fall on that sphere. So
And
even like
even
if you look at like the last 8 years, we've had a fucking Joker in the White House. I could see it matching that way.
And then if you think about it too, it's not exact, but like 2016 is your 216. 216 times 2 is 432. So there is some sort of weird math going on there. And then if it's 8 years to the 2022, which is the times that equals 440,
Well, two goes
right?
into 16 8 times.
And then 432 plus 8 is your 440. So, and that's also your Saturn's true number is 8. So that just like adds to it all.
On to the next one. Yeah.
So 432. But we have and this goes with temperature again, how I talk about the 31 and 32, because so English Sumerian is essentially times 6. So I like to use it a lot because it's like hexing and spell casting. To hex is to cast a spell. Hex is your hexagon, your times 6. So it's like in Sumerian, A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, so on and so forth. So I like to use that a lot because if I'm decoding the spell casting and hexing, then I think that they can use that twice as much. But what equals 432 equals 72. 72 is room temperature. So we went from freezing point, and now we're talking about room temperature. And then I'm also going to talk about boiling point as well in Fahrenheit. 72, as you can see there, is the approximation of 1 degree in the precession of the equinoxes, which is like the ages that we're in. So every 72 years, we go through one of those degrees. Very interesting. And then, so money equals 432. I have it like just in the 72, but money equals 432. And so does Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Lucky, Liquid, right? Money, Mooney. It's the current C, right? You know, it's all like your liquid assets, Riverbank, banks, all that.
First world, I find that interesting right there.
Yeah.
First
Ladybugs are known for
rocket.
like the symbolism behind a ladybug does mean like good luck and good money. Pilot, rocket, we get a lot of rocket kind of codes, and that even fits with the 720 and everything because that's the day that they went to the moon, and it has to do with the fertilization ritual, the rocket, the phallus, the moon, the womb. Timing, chicken scratch, which is a funny one because that's like paid me in chicken scratch, so it's funny that both those two words work on there. The who equals 432. Looks like they were probably able to capitalize. Anything that like sticks out on these
Kind of a
422?
Steve.
720 is
Horn.
two.
I find Horn interesting again because like didn't
Yeah,
Horns come up before?
yeah,
I mentioned that.
yeah. I think horns show up a few times as well.
720 is 2 full rotations, but like you have there liquid and river. Yeah, you have banks on the side of the river that control the current
Yeah.
or currency. Banks are where we keep our money, our currency. Yeah, it all kind of does add up.
Yeah, and then like you can even go into like, I mean, I would say, would you think 72 would be also kind of interchangeable with 720 in
Yeah,
some ways?
and 27. Yep, they would
Yeah.
all carry the
Then
same
then
energy.
you're even getting the two 360s.
Yeah, and they're carrying like I teach it too as like a language of numbers. So if we're looking at 72, that's 7 the spirit into 2 the emotional body. So spirit body into emotional body creates completion, which is 9. Or you could look at it as 27 would be emotional body into spiritual body creates self, which is 9.
Where does that fit into your octaves, Lee?
Octavely.
Well, that would be beyond the octave, so 9.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah,
My
But
mistake.
it's I call them numerical octaves.
transcendence.
I call them numerical octaves because
Okay, yeah.
that's just the way to describe it that would make sense to people that understand what an octave is or whatever. So 10 would be the first numerical octave above 1, right? 1 plus 0. 11 would be the first numerical octave above 2, so on and so forth. And 9 works. 9's a little cheat code in numerology as well. So if I have 4, that equals 4. 4 plus 9 equals 13, which is 1 plus 3, still 4. So whenever you add 9 to something in numerology, it's still going to carry the same numerology it did before you added the 9. And then that adds to like 9 and the power of its number. It's like a very giving number. Thinking 3, 6, 9. 3 is your energy, 6 is your structure, and 9 is your transfer. 9 is a very transferring energy.
Well, if we're talking synthetic, when you asked me about how does it fit into the octaves, well, if you look at the Gurdjieffian octave, it's actually 9. You can see it behind me. The reason being is because you've got to fit in the 3, 6, 9. The 3, 6, and the 9 are the intervals. So although an octave is 8, it's not actually 8 in completion. There's actually a 9 at the top.
So wherever you start the musical scale, say you start in C, to get to the other octave, it's technically 9 notes. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's 8, but you got to get the next note is the repeating C in the higher octave, correct?
No, you got the 2 intervals, the 3 and the 6.
You're right.
Yeah, so you got so you got the extra. So you got the 7 plus the 2, which gives you the 9.
9, you're right.
And it gives you the 3, 6, 9 as well. So they indicate the intervals of the octave. But that's it's kind of another it's another story.
Topic.
So 432 math connected to the pyramids. US dollar. The US dollar equals 432. It's like that's just how deep this stuff is.
Can I just mention something about digital hexing? Okay,
Yeah.
so within not all of the esoteric groups, but some of the Steiner and Gurdjieff esoteric groups, they're now talking about, and you have to kind of open your mind and I guess think deeply about this, the possibilities of this concept, that every time you press a key on a laptop or phone or iPad or anything like that, every time you press, it's actually allowing energy into this realm. So this is what they're talking about, right? So if we're saying that these words have a numerical value of energy or concentration of a type of energy force or quality of energy, you could be kind of almost duped into self-hexing because you type keywords or certain words that have particular value. Now, once you become aware of this, just being aware of it in itself, you become conscious of what you may be allowing into this realm. Now, from a Steiner perspective, he would insinuate that there's a particular force that was never able to enter this realm up until the time comes when there's going to be a mechanism like computer systems. I mean, he wasn't around when they had computers, so he had to try and articulate things that never existed in his time. But he said that there would come a time when a particular, I guess you could say, a Araman energy that will enter, but it's being prevented from entering because there isn't the technology to allow it to bleed through. Now, if you look at what is it, when was the computer? Was it 1998?
The World Wide Web?
Yeah, that's when people started using computers pretty much all the time, yeah, from then onwards. So think about it. If that is true, that particular types of energy that weren't allowed to come through because there wasn't the function for it to come through are now being allowed to come through, this could possibly explain why we will be able to enter this kind of new epoch or era of digital technology and digital consciousness.
Wow. Yeah. It was a British scientist, Tim Berners-Lee, invented the World Wide Web, or as we know, WWW, in 1989, while working at CERN, of all places, of course.
Yeah. And think about these. I can't remember what you call them on. When things go viral or they're kind of trends where people type certain things or make certain videos and they go viral. Well, think about that. So when something goes viral, all of a sudden, unsuspecting people are typing things on their social media. Now, who's controlling that? Who started it? Who's behind it? And who's placed the values behind it, the numbers behind it?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not a coincidence. It's not by accident. It's all orchestrated.
I've thought that so many times about memes. I was like, you know how many memes are probably like orchestrated just for like
Yeah,
to screenshot and just
and it's like
repost.
it's a subconscious thing too, right? Where
Mm.
It's
you're not
almost like
thinking about it, and you're just
people are remaking your talisman and passing it around.
Yeah.
and don't even know it. You don't even know what you could be sharing or representing.
Well, I think so. For instance, if you just look at it at face value, so you've got the words, and then you've got the numbers. So the words, we read them with our conscious mind. The numbers will go into our subconscious. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we could kind of be, I guess it's a form of programming. It's a way of bypassing the conscious mind,
Wow.
which we already know this. But if we actually consider it, really sort of meditate on it and think of the possibilities of what is being done to humanity.
Well, that was even kind of something that I was getting at before with like I've wondered like "Let's go, Brandon." If that was like almost like a mantra with so many people saying it and repeating it, if it was almost like keeping people on like a certain frequency
Hmm.
or like something
100%.
along that. You know what I'm saying? Like I've often wondered about things that like phrases and things that become hot that get used over and over again on social media among conspiracy theorists. Do you not like? Sometimes I wonder: is it really the complete opposite of what they think they're doing? Are
Hmm.
they actually feeding into like a pattern or a
I
certain
I
energy?
agree with that 1000%. That's the whole Katy
Yeah.
Perry eye thing, and even on that day, you type in Katy Perry on Google, it suggests Katy Perry eye. And people don't realize this, and yeah, a meme blows up, and everyone starts posting it and sharing it and everything. They don't really realize what's behind it. They just think that it's like, oh, we're winning because we expose this. It's like, no, this is a deep, deep, like hyperdimensional chess game, and they're steps ahead of us.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And
Auntie just said in the chat, sorry, real quickly, and then you can go. Auntie just said, "How often has the C word been used?" Just think about that. You know,
Hmm.
saying that constantly. Some people are saying it probably 100 times a day. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, you can go, Lee. I know you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a kind of segue, I guess. I want to try and stay on topic as best as possible, but
Oh,
it may have some relevance. Now, one esoteric technique that is used by certain groups in terms of communication, not necessarily to have a conversation with somebody, but to be on the same frequency. So, as an example, one person can, well, sorry, two people can decide on a number, okay, and they both know the number. Then they walk, counting 1 foot, and then they stop. And that will put them in the same frequency because they've basically created their own hotline. Yeah. Now, what am what does it mean when we're talking about? Well, you could say that we're living in some kind of psychic field, yeah. And if you want to communicate via the psychic field, in there's many different ways we could describe it, but let's just say we want to connect on the psychic field. If we can agree upon a number and then we consciously step and we get to that location and then we can connect on a psychic field, because the psychic field is it's just a field of potential. But the moment you put the intent on the numbers, I guess you're giving it some kind of value. And if two people do it simultaneously, then you can be psychically connected in terms of
Wow.
communication.
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, that's kind of bugged
Yeah.
out.
It makes me think of the military with the cadence walking and
Yo, I was thinking.
yeah, whatever they're
Mhm.
shouting out, everyone kind of
I was
shouting
thinking
along
that.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
in time.
Now,
Yeah.
now,
With
what?
specific rows as well, right?
Yep.
So certain people in the amount of rows.
Yeah. Now, what got me thinking about this, or reminded me of this, is that we could be looking at just a giant system of communication. Yeah. If you think about it, all these numbers, it all interlinks, it's all connected, and those that are behind it could actually formulate a grid system using these numbers, like a
That's
matrix.
what the the
It's
127s
magic squares.
connect with. It's like we realize that those are the grid numbers. Those are the numbers that they use all the numbers for the grid, but the 127, 217, any of those combinations are big time grid numbers. So it seems, and it had to do with us like decoding it through like past flat Earth and seeing it as like Turtle Island and the ley lines and that whole kind of thing. And that's what kind of one conclusion we're getting to is that the use of the 1, 2, and 7 in combination have to do with grid rituals.
Hmm.
And you're talking more like an energy grid, correctly?
Correct.
Yeah, it's I mean, all this energy at the end of the day, it's just the degree of concentration.
Correct.
And even with that, it's Maya, right? It is the Maya right there, 432, right? And it's the hexagram, like that's what I'm saying. It's the turtle shells, which have hexagons or hexagrams on their back. And then with that, even like the metaphor, it's a metaphor is what it is. Which meta, right? Mata. There's a mata turtle. It's one of the turtles. It's like this dragon looking turtle thing. But where was I going with that?
Metaverse.
The turtle shell feels everything. It feels every raindrop, every feather, every leaf on its back. It's a very sensitive thing too, and that's also a metaphor for the Earth grid, picking up on all your energy and frequency. It picks up on every single thing that you do and reads into that. So if they get all these people to focus on one thing, whether it's a major event, a mass event, or everything that creates fear or whatever, that's just like a network of fear or bad energy being projected on top of that sensitive turtle shell or grid, essentially.
I believe there's I want to say it's maybe the Iroquois or some indigenous group. They have a myth that the Earth is created as a pile of soil on the back of a great sea turtle, floating through the universe as well.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to do with like there's like the snake is strangling the turtle.
Yep.
And then it has to do, which I have like a kind of a bit on that, where it's like we're all just living in a turtle's dream, and the turtle's just having this near-death experience, and we're all the trip of like all the lives passing before its mind.
You know what this just reminded me of? Teddy, you just I think it was you who just said that with the tree growing on the back of the turtle. Are you saying that? One of you just say that? Or the earth growing on the back of the turtle? Or something like that?
The soil
Turtle
piled
Island.
on the back of a
That
great
made
sea
me
turtle.
think of like Never-Ending Story.
Oh yeah.
I watched it recently because I may want to cover it for my show, and there's that part where it's like a turtle comes up out of the ground. That they
Yes.
keep us on, right?
Yes. In the swamp. You're right. I did not think of that. Wow.
We found mythology so deep, and how deep this turtle and snake thing goes, where there's this Japanese mythological or Chinese mythology story where it has to do with Wuhan, and Wuhan is in between Turtle Mountain and Snake Mountain.
Wow.
Like it just doesn't end. And then I don't know, the turtle stuff's really deep. It's like I wasn't prepared to go full turtle mode. It's pretty like deep stuff for sure to like wrap your head around.
I see.
But there's tons. There's like 20 songs called Turtles All the Way Down. There's like 3 or 4 books called Turtles All the Way Down, which has to do with that and gravity and all this. It's like the Mother Maya. Oh, another one too is because it has like the symbolism behind the black goo. Is there black goo in this stuff, or what could that kind of be? And that's essentially like just like the dark matter, the evil kind of energy. The Turtle Island, the turtle constellation, translated from indigenous astrology to Western astrology, Pegasus is what would translate to the turtle. Pegasus created from the blood of Medusa, which is the black goo.
A440 is the tuning standard as
Yeah.
well in
That's
music.
what,
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying the 432. It's changed in 1953, the same year as the coronation of the Queen, and how 53, that word Devok, or what Devok is backwards, equals 53, and that's how deep and along this stuff has been going on.
I saw you got XRP.
There you go, right? Well, Antichrist right at the top there, right? Like
yeah.
Satellites,
Burger
wandering.
King. That's great.
Oh yeah, the burger code show up big in gravity. It's like, and it's the flat Earth, right? A burger is like the flat Earth. I got all these fun codes on that. I don't have those with me today, but it's a fun little code. So whenever I can fit in a fast food or a burger code, I try to.
Like
Earth and Mars, I think this is like Martian. It's like that war kind of planet. So like Earth and Mars in there, like I definitely had to include that. I think it's like it's the Aryans, like it's the Aries. Mars rules Aries. That's like it's the planet of war. I think that there's something going on with Martians or something like that. I don't know if we have time to deep dive in that, but as I think these 440s point out, is the deception of Gaia. Mega Republicans, right? That was the big speech. That was the word he kept saying over and over again.
Yeah.
Toilet paper, again, that was a big issue.
Wow.
Capricornus, the Devok or whatever, all came in when Saturn and Jupiter were in Capricorn. It was this big, or no, it was a conjunction in Aquarius, but it was coming from Capricorn. So it's like this Capricorn energy, which is kind of your government control a little bit. And then it's also Copernicus was the one that told us that the Earth was round. And it's not the debate that we're like having here or anything, but very interesting that these 440s, and then Queen on the right there. Temperature, which I said like important, that it's all a code. And it's all horse shit.
Fool 440.
Yeah. Chaos creation, which I think is what this 440 does. Like I didn't come on here with the education of what the frequencies actually do. I just came from my angle of what it means numerically through codes and all this.
And the Fool card in the tarot is the same as the Joker, which
I was thinking
a couple
There you
slides
go.
before.
Yeah. There
Interesting how it all kind of intertwined.
Came back, right?
Like clockwork. It all fits together.
And how it all like has to do with like the grid and frequency and everything. Capital Riot, 440, putting us in the 440. And honestly, like when I revamped all my lockdown or lost their jobs and whatever, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just go hard on this numerology, astrology, all this stuff I do. So the day that I was using numerology to be like, okay, there's one day, the first day that I see coming up where whatever I do this day is going to have great amplification. This day is the day to do something big. That day ended up being January 6th. And there was all the chaos, that there was so much chaos on the internet that I wasn't even able to launch my numerology and all that because of how much chaos was on the internet.
Wow.
From how much chaos creation, 440, from the Capitol Riot, 440, was on the internet.
Wow.
Oh, 440 Kelvin in Fahrenheit is 332-33.
Interesting.
Thank you, Snell 9. Interesting. All right, we'll go over to the next one. 528.
There you go. And you dropped all those 8/8s on the August 8th and all that.
Yeah.
Because 88 times 6 is 528.
Right.
Very interesting. So it's like just trying to just figure out the 528 just from even just this numerical and alpha numerical kind of code to see what it all means.
I find Hawaii in there interesting.
Well, it's Pearl Harbor too, right?
Yeah.
Greenland, that's a conspiracy where it's like all these alleged celebrity deaths and stuff. They all just go to Greenland, or Greenland's this magical place that they all escape to.
You know, in Hawaii, they spotted our miniature moon.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I find that there's pretty interesting things going on in Hawaii right now for me.
Yeah, I was even just thinking about it the other night, that like all those mountains and stuff could be like hidden pyramids or stuff. I haven't like looked into it at all. I'm not making any kind of claims or anything, but that was something I wanted to like look into a bit.
Trump wanting to buy Greenland. Obviously, that's not a real thing that's going to happen, but that was part of the news cycle when he was allegedly president.
And then look, Trump on the right. Trump on the right, 528.
Yeah.
Greenland, 528.
528. Yeah. You can Google it. If you just Google Trump buy Greenland, you'll get NPR articles, Wikipedia, the United States proposed purchase of Greenland, which obviously we're not going to buy another country, but there's a reason that was dumped into the news cycle.
Mm-hmm. Probably, then again, it could just be like what Lee was saying before. Maybe there was a certain phrase or something that he said that he knew was just going to get repeated by all his cult followers.
Probably, and when he said that, it makes me think of just very simple chaos magic. You write down your will, you take out all the vowels and corresponding and duplicate letters, and then you
Yeah.
take what's left over and turn it into a magical sigil and charge it and do whatever you choose to do with that. But to get past your conscious mind to the subconscious, yeah, interesting.
Lee, I don't know about you, like if you have experience with like sigils and stuff, but I've
Yeah.
even like from doing like I guess chaos magic or doing sigils like that. I've even like seen suggested and done myself. Like Synthetic was saying, like sometimes with the letters that I have left over that I was going to use to design whatever I was going to design, I'll actually try to make a phrase out of it and keep repeating it.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever, because I'm thinking maybe that goes along with the energy again. Maybe
Yeah.
itself verbally it has that energy as well.
Yeah. Well, when Synthetic was talking about taking the vowels out, I don't know if you've heard of this. There's an idea that when it comes to words, and this goes back to what I was saying about if you look at landscape, so if you look at continents and the sea, okay, so the vowels would be the sea, and then you've got the not the continent, but the consonants. So when you take the vowels out, you're taking the fluid out of a word, and so you're making it heavily crystallized or concentrated.
Right.
So therefore, it's able to materialize because you're focusing on the material aspect of a word as opposed to the fluid or the nuance or the vowels of a word. So that's something to consider.
To
Even
manifest your will, yes, I would agree with that.
yeah. So I guess it's an addition to reinforce your manifestation or the intent behind the manifestation.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I was just going to add that I see that the vowels are air, and that I think maybe the complete thing is the water, and the consonants are the earth. Wolves, an anagram for vowels, howl in vowels.
That is interesting.
So there is ways that you can do numerology. It's a little harder with these calculator systems. Like I have to like create my own ciphers, and you just don't get the matches and everything like you do. But I do create ciphers without vowels, and vowels you look at it as vowels equals 0 because they are. It's more of an error to me. That's just my approach to it. But yeah, same thing though.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, water and air is the same thing, isn't it?
True.
Yeah,
That even fits with the codes after this. That I have codes to add to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it implies the non-physical aspects of a terrain. So it's what separates the landmass or the terrain, which can be
They
air
say the
and
water
water.
is just air cooled off, right?
Well, there's definitely
You add heat to water, it evaporates, collects, and then drops back down.
Things went down. So some people say it's the same thing. Obviously, it's once again it has different value, different quality, but essentially it's the same thing. I have dabbled with sigils. I don't do so much now, but I'm very aware of them, and I tend to try and look out for them, or if it's being done to me. And in terms of protection, I do teach people how to do sigil magic, but more from having knowledge of it, so you know how it can be done to you, as opposed to doing it for yourself. It's just a basic awareness, and I think like we're living in a sea of occultism, and there's sigils everywhere. And when you start to realize how it's being done, I mean, even what we're talking about tonight with Gematria, that we're completely surrounded by it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, a while ago, it was probably over a year ago. Even on the Occult Rejects, we did do like something on sigils and talisman. And it wasn't that deep of a show. It was only like one episode and kind of short, but that's what we were even trying to put out there, is that like everything we buy that has these logos on there is basically a sigil and a talisman. For all we know, that's why we all gotta have this fucking iPhone. It's because of that fucking symbol on there. I don't know.
Well, I was having this conversation last night, and I've come to the conclusion that before every podcast I do from now on, I'm going to have to do a kind of preface to explain the reason why I'm talking about the things I talk about is because we're living in an occulted reality. Everything.
Yeah.
We're literally drowning in occultism. Now, because sometimes I talk about certain subjects, and maybe people are listening and they're like, what's this guy talking about? But it only makes sense once you realize that everything is occulted. Like everything. It's not just because I think some people in their mind they have this idea that occultism is just this little pocket over here, or this little esoteric group, or this little mystery school here, or secret society over there. When in reality, everything is under the influence of occultism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
100%. That's why I think it's
That's
like
why I started my podcast.
it's all codes. Like it's like why there's these gatekeepers exist, and why when we figured this stuff out, they block me and my homies because it's like we're too close to what the occult is, or what they're trying to keep hidden.
Yeah.
Are these major people in sort of conspiracy entertainment culture, or?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Was there anything on here that you wanted to?
Well, because it's boiling point. So I covered the freezing point, 30, 32, which leads to the cube 31. Talked about room temperature, which was connected to our money and our 432. Now we're talking boiling point, which is, again, now you're going water to air. And the Super Bowl, which was on 212, see Super Bowl ritual equals 212. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. Rise like the Phoenix 212. Phoenix, Arizona, Phonics, AZ, A to Z, Arizona, AZ. They're literally like trying to get people like me to start revealing this stuff, because it's like they're putting it in there like straight up for me to realize that.
You know how I even looked at that going that Super Bowl was like both of them. I don't know, for some reason I think of Indians, I think of feathers because they got them wrapped around the head, and I'm like, one's on the
Yeah.
floor and one's in the sky. That's all I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also Moon in Scorpio. That's why I have that Scorpio name. It was also Moon in
Ah,
Scorpio during the
okay.
Super Bowl as well. And Scorpio is connected to the story of the Phoenix. It's connected to the death and all that. But as you can see on the right, 0 point, like these are all the 212, the boiling point. Very, very significant code. 0 point energy, 0 divided by 0. Like those are huge codes that fit with that. Again, there's no coincidences. Like it's just, that's just such a significant code.
A new heaven and a new earth.
Yeah.
Oof.
You've got
Living by the sword. Like,
You've got the Rainbow Serpent. There's a film called The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah, great film.
I was thinking about actually checking that out and seeing if it was worth covering. I haven't
yeah,
watched
and
it.
then
it's
even
worth
with
it.
that, because all the rituals lead into the Rainbow Serpent. Why it's relevant to it has to do with the World Cup.
Yep.
Had all to do with the Rainbow Serpent and Quetzalcoatl and all that.
All right, move on to the next one.
I think that's it.
Oh, nice. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, for today.
Is there a system? There's obviously different systems of Gematria that you can
Yep.
use. Is there
Yep.
a specific one that you prefer over another one, or what's your bread and butter when you start to dive into these topics?
The 4 main ones, which would be your standard English. A is 1, Z is 26. Your numerology or your reduction is another one, which is it's 1 through 9 and it repeats. So where it would go to J, it would stay, instead of J being the 10th letter, J still has the value of 1. That's like your Pythagorean alphabet is another name for that one. And then the Sumerian, like I talked, which is times 6. And then your Latin or your Jewish, which was one that was showing up a bunch under the name Agrippa, or Latin or Jewish, just because that's like the form of it. But I speak English, so I deal mostly with English.
Of course.
And then I create a lot of my own ciphers as well. Like it's essentially like geometry, and there is geometrical patterns that you can make with all this. So using geometry, I can create my own kind of ciphers or things like that. But then that's a little bit harder and a bit of a stretch, so I don't like to include those. Like those are mostly for me, or like next level kind of extra dimensional validation or whatever. Like I have one where I use the speed of light. I have one where like I use the sequence of pi, like all these kind of like little secret fun little codes you can use. But for the most part, it's just like your standard stuff, and then applying numerology to it as well. I do a lot. And then just trying to find codes like, okay, 212 was just a random number till the light bulb came on, that it's the boiling point, that's where water turns to gas. It's very significant. And then that adds to the codes that add to that kind of thing as well.
Yeah. I just some basic research. The Hebrew Gematria, it's God equals 26. Torah is 62, which is
26
reversed.
letters.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And the Torah is 62, which is 26 reversed. Israel is 64, and that's 2 to the 6th power. Books is 62. Amalek and Hebrew and Doubt both equal 240. There's a lot to this that I do find interesting. I'm not a master by any means, but I did find some interesting things with it's the Monte Carlo roulette wheel, which was invented by Francois Blanc, and he was known as the magician of Hamburg or the magician of Monte Carlo. I just find it pretty interesting that the roulette wheel goes up to 666 if you add 1 through 36, and that's also called the triangle number.
Triangle number,
Yeah.
So 36, and then it's your 3 6s, but it's your triangular number. Like another big triangular number is 78, which is
okay.
is the 12th triangular number.
Yeah.
And even further in Space Jam, they went 78 to 77.
Ah, very nice.
And there's 78 cards in a tarot deck.
There is, yes. 666 to me, that equals Emperor Nero, because it's NRO QSR. So I always believe that that's what the Bible is referencing. In Hebrew, I believe you take the repeating N out. So NRO QSR, Nero Caesar is what that means. Have you ever done any research on that?
Yes and no. It's more like the other guys. Like it's so hard. Like there's so many angles that you can dive down on this stuff. Like I wanted to come here and just kind of have more like I feel like I'm a good kind of messenger for this stuff.
Sure.
For people to like look deeper at it.
Sure.
But again, it's like the more you know about the occult and other things, then it all helps with your coding and understanding what these codes actually mean. And like it's one thing to match with Yaldabaoth, it's another thing to know what Yaldabaoth represents.
Sure.
Well, one exercise that is used, I'm not sure how common it is, but I did come across it in some of my studies in esoteric groups. One technique is that you can recite numbers. So you can almost reverse engineering this stuff. So if you take the numbers from a word, instead of saying the word, you repeat the numbers. So if you wanted to get some kind of reinforcement of a particular value of a word, rather than say the word, people use mantras. Yeah. So you take the numbers. Now, I'm assuming that it goes straight into the subconscious, because remember, numbers don't have a description. So when you look at a name or a word, it's generally a description of something. Yeah.
Right.
So we get kind of identified with the description of whatever it is. When you say the numbers, it doesn't mean anything. But actually it does. Very similar to sigil magic, yeah.
Right, because your conscious mind doesn't perceive it. Right.
Yeah, but something, your higher mind understands the value of the numbers and the correlation to the word.
Oh wow, yeah. That's really cool.
So hypothetically, you could actually construct mantras out of numbers, and as long as you can remember the numbers, you keep repeating them. Yeah, in a sequence.
Or
probably could start off with something simple, but you could actually make it quite complex. And just imagine if you can remember a very complex numerical list, it would actually be reinforced into the memory. It would take a lot more mental capacity, so therefore it would go deeper into it.
Yeah, I essentially do that with my more numerology side of it when I'm working on that, rather than the conspiracies or the deep diving kind of thing. That's like when I do that, that's what I kind of try and teach through the Gematria, is like the more positive side of it, not just trying to point out Satan or Lucifer to everyone or anything like that, but like
Yeah, I've actually
show the
asked you
positive side of that. Yeah.
I think one time I had asked you to cover certain stuff, and you had even said that you really didn't like feeding into it. So, I totally understood that too. I think I asked you to cover Elon Musk, and you're like, I really don't want to go like that far into it because it's just giving that prick more power, if anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I got what you were saying, and I was like, I totally get that. And I
Yeah,
think
there was one time someone was reading off codes, and it had to do with the turtle shell. He was reading off these like Mata codes, and then we were like decoding Portugal, which is like port, like eagle, and it was like all these things. So he was reading all these like, and then there's Tuga, which is like toga, is all these things. And he was just saying off all these weird words, and I was like, dude, you put me in a portal. Like it was like I'm seeing like the past and the future going on right now, and I can't get out.
Tortuga means turtle. So yeah.
Yeah.
I do think there's something to be said. Obviously, Gematria or any of these systems, numerology, these are all an algorithm. And if you're making a YouTube video, you don't want to get it taken down. So you're not going to say something that's going to get pulled. So you're not really playing to your audience as much as you're playing to an algorithm, not even a person anymore. And if you look at it, all these algorithms are being put in place with control structures, cryptocurrency, UBI, ESG scores, universal basic income. I said UBI. These are all algorithms, and this is just another algorithm that is, I think, a control mechanism. I think the world is, everything kind of works like clockwork, and I think you've done some really great research into looking at the gears of the clockwork universe.
very well said.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually probably a good time to wrap it up, if you guys don't mind. Lee, would you like to leave us with anything? Do you want to plug your show? Say goodbye.
Yeah, well, we're going live on Saturday nights, 9 p.m. British Standard Time. So everybody's welcome to join us. We generally don't have a format. We want it to be organic. So every week will be different. In fact, the show may change halfway through. We have different guests popping in at different times. So it's kind of like, I describe it as the place to go for the people that are never invited anywhere else.
I love it. It's always good talks though over there too, though.
Really good.
Yeah. I mean, and especially for not being structured.
Yeah.
I'll even put it this way. I've said to some people, I said, for me, I normally don't do roundtables that often because I've even said it's the same thing. Like if I'm going to do a roundtable, I might as well just like go to the mall and go sit in the food court and go eavesdrop on other people talking. And at least I'll get out of the house and be social. But like you actually talk about shit, so it's actually really
A
good.
valuable conversation.
Yeah, for real.
The way I see it, right? If you've got conscious people together, then it's almost like out of the spiritual realms, things will come. We'll talk, and you can kind of get more of a free flow. Now, don't get me wrong. There will be times when there will be specific subjects that we will cover. I mean, sometimes I'll make a short list, and maybe if the conversation is not going anywhere, I can interject and throw something in. But let's face it, there's plenty of content. I don't think we're going to be short of content.
No, never. That is a good point.
And the other thing as well, I wanted to try to create a space for, I guess you could say, like-minded people where we can get together and discuss the things that we can't talk about to our friends, family, in the workplace, in the mainstream world. And so it's an opportunity to get together and either share ideas. Now, just because we say it on the show doesn't mean to say that it's fact or that it's exactly how it is. We want to share ideas because I think the whole notion of ideas has been suppressed. Yeah, especially now with the censorship, like people are literally told what to think. We want to be a bit more. We want to have more freedom in our thinking, and I'm trying to create that space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job with that.
From my experiences from going on, It just felt like we're a bunch of people kicking around a bunch of ideas and talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, I really it was great. It was just like a bunch of dudes theorizing. You know,
Yeah. And out of that, we, it's quite surprising. It may not manifest in the show, but the next day, because I'm big into 24-hour cycles. So the conversations that we're having right now, they will go into our conscious, subconscious, whatever, and then it's the next 24-hour cycle of the sun and the moon. Things then start to manifest. Maybe we get from an idea we heard last night or the day before, something connects. Yeah, the same way that all this stuff that we're talking about with the numbers, it all connects. This is our way of connecting to something, to higher spiritual worlds.
well, even if you think about it, like when you have an idea, the only way you're ever going to make that happen is if you keep on recycling it in your mind until you do it.
Yeah, well, we're reinforcing. Yeah,
Nice.
get the post-it notes, stick them on the fridge.
Thank you so much, Lee, for coming on. Yeah, for everybody listening, I highly suggest to go check out his channel and check out the live that he does. It is, again, like I was saying, I'm not big on roundtables. I highly suggest to check out his. So that says something.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to thank you guys as well. And you created a great platform, and your guest tonight is the work he's doing. I did have a quick look at some of the videos that you did together within the last 12 hours, and I'm going to watch them again. This is definitely an area. I would probably say this is one of my weakest areas. If I'm honest, this is one of my weakest areas. I've concentrated on other things, but this is one of my weakest areas, and I've actually got a short list. It's getting a little bit longer of some things that I want to put forward to put it under the microscope. Nice. So I'll try and hook up with you sometime if that's if you're up for that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Synthetic, do you want to say what's up to everybody as we get ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, we've got the Occult Rejects and Friends Element server. It's the community behind everything NY does. You can find me there. You can find a bunch of other very intelligent people there. You can find me in the live chat NY's and now Lee's lives. I'm always around. Maybe you don't see my name, but that's okay. But yeah, if you're looking for like-minded people, the Element server, you can find it in NY's links. That's where I am. But this was a great talk. Thank you for having me. Wonderful time.
Yeah. No, I had a great time, and I was really looking forward to this with you and Lee jumping on, and I knew TJ was obviously going to bring some really interesting stuff like he has.
Delivered the goods.
Yeah, so the man of the hour, or the almost 2 hours now, DJ, would you like to plug your show and all your stuff again?
Yeah, I got a philosophical comedy show where I talk about lizard people and all kinds of things. That's contemporary problems for the most part. I'm working on stuff to kind of teach this stuff in a way that makes sense, so that people aren't just plugging in random codes and not knowing what it means or whatever, and trying to like discover the language of numbers and the correlations with numbers and language and all that. And then my numerology thing is called Opposite Number. I am on YouTube and Instagram, and I'm getting all that going. So just click my links to follow me, and you can learn more, because I really want to bring it to like a more common understanding of how this works, and understanding numerology on a simple term.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, and I have all your links in the bottom. So anybody who's watching now or going forward happens to come across this when it comes back out, everybody's links are in the bottom. Check out the Element server, like Synthetic said. Check out Lee's channel. His channel and his website should be in the bottom. And go check out Contemporary Problems. At least, if not for his shit posting, go check him out. Yeah, he's got some fire memes. They were even saying that in the chat before. And I also do want to thank. I saw some new names tonight, so I'm assuming they either came from Lee's listeners or they're TJ's friends. I have not seen Auntie or this new Helen here, or a couple other names, Donna, Roy. Thank you for coming over, or however you found us. You seem to be new names. You were chatting it up. Thank you for jumping in on the live. That's why I go live, because I like to try to interact with the listeners, a little way that I can. And tonight, it was some good numbers. thank you all for that, and thank you guys for a great show. I had a great time. I got a little high and just bugged out and listened. Some great shit. Thank you. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.